Some of the most important lessons a mentor will teach you happen when they aren't trying to teach you anything. You just have to be paying attention enough to notice. One of my mentors, Jim Fink, used to give me rides to church every single week. My muscular dystonia was really starting to affect my arms, and I wasn't sure how far I could safely drive on my own. So Jim stepped in. Those rides give us time to talk about my faith, my health, my job, and the future I believe God was calling me towards, and I would get his advice. But some of Jim's greatest lessons came from watching how he treats people. Welcome to the Pursuit of Calling, the podcast that helps Christian men grow into the men God created them to be. This is a shorter episode, a pursuit bite, if you will, about why every man needs at least one mentor. If you're pursuing something significant, you weren't meant to do it alone. Now, Jim leads the men's small group at my church, and I trust his understanding of Scripture. Not as a substitute to my understanding, or a substitute for developing my own understanding, but as the example of a faithful man that I can learn from. There are moments in our group when someone might say something and my first reaction is to judge them. I may think they spoke out of turn or said something that they shouldn't have said, but Jim often responds differently. He seems to see them through a lens that I'm still developing, a lens of grace. Instead of shutting them down, he looks for a way to encourage them. And I believe that grace comes from Jesus Christ, and it makes me want to grow in it even more. Jim also has helped me through one of the biggest decisions of my life. He was a major reason I left my job when I did. He didn't simply tell me to quit. He listened, asked questions, and helped me create a plan. I went to him as a spiritual mentor, but he became a life mentor too. Those roles naturally overlap for us as Christian men because our faith should shape every decision that we make. And more recently, I started meeting with Marc Serrao, who founded the Oakmont Bakery with his wife Susan, and I wanted to pick his brain about how he started the business, how he leads now, and how he keeps faith at the center of everything that he does. But once again, some of the most valuable lessons have come from watching him. One day while we were talking, a child fell nearby. Mark stopped our conversation. He walked over there and made sure that the child was okay. It was a small little act of kindness, a small moment, but it revealed something about him to me. Mark has built an extremely successful business, and yet he hasn't become too important to notice the people in front of him, or even the person just beyond him who might still need his help. I sought him out for business knowledge, but I also find myself wanting his humility, his awareness of others, and the way his faith bleeds into everything that he does. Oakmont Bakery doesn't need to wear a label that says Christian business. Mark treats it as God's business. His faith influences how he leads and how he serves. This is the kind of business owner and the kind of man I want to become. In the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 22, it tells us that plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Notice that it says many. You may have one mentor for your faith, another for business, and another for relationships or your craft. Those roles can overlap though, and they should. Jim helped me guide a career decision. Mark's character is challenging mine. I'm currently looking for a mentor in coaching, and I never want to assume I have nothing left to learn. There are people who have already traveled the road you're trying to take. They know where some of the potholes are. A mentor can't drive the car for you. You still have to make your decisions and do the work. But they may point out a pothole before you hit it. Hit it, blow a tire, and lose months of repairing avoidable damage. You don't have to learn every lesson through your own mistakes. Second, put your pride aside and borrow someone else's wisdom. So I want you to ask yourself one question. Just one. Where in my life am I trying to do something significant without wise guidance? Maybe it's your faith, marriage, business, your health, your leadership, or your calling. Identify the area or areas. Then identify someone further down the road whose character you respect. Not just someone with impressive results. Their character matters. This could be a family member, a friend, your pastor, a parent, or someone else entirely. You can ask them to coffee, respect their time, come prepared with a few thoughtful questions you like their answers to. And don't begin by asking them to commit to being your mentor for the next 10 years. Begin with being humble and being curious, that's key, and willing to listen. If you're unsure which area needs attention in your life, download the free Grow on Purpose workbook. It will help you examine where you are, where God may be leading you, and where you need support. You can find it in the link in the episode description. Just go to grow.pursuitofcalling.com. Nothing significant is ever accomplished alone. God places wisdom around us, but receiving it requires the humility to admit someone else may see what we can't. Find someone else whose results that you respect, but more importantly, whose character you want to imitate. Get close enough to ask them questions. And stay close enough to notice that what they teach you when they aren't trying to teach you anything. Oops. Until next time, keep pursuing the man God created you to be.